Greetings viewers, I'm the Smithy9999 and welcome back to Take on Mars. Now, when we left off last episode, we had accidentally launched a lander to Gale Crater, which has successfully landed, as well as another probe to the final exploration point in Gale Crater, and Kaiser Crater has also been fully explored by probes. Now, the lander currently has no missions available for it in Gale Crater, so sadly that was a waste of money. But if we go to Protectory, we should get an environmental analysis station technology on board our future landers. Now, we already have one piece of the research it requires, which is the low power socket system, but we also need a chromatograph sensor firmware designed for the evaluation of atmospheric composition. We also need gas chromatography, which we already have. Gas particle detection systems, also something we already have, meaning that we have only got to research one extra bit of technology before we can do some research into the Martian atmosphere with our landers. Now, we still have to explore 4 more places on Mars to finish off the basic terrain mapping of the Martian surface. Now, each crater has 3 locations to search, so if we head to Victoria Crater, which has 4, we should be able to quickly launch 4 cheap probes to do some basic mapping. Now, to speed this process up, we can just quickly disconnect after launching a probe and launch all 4 probes so that all of them are launched quite close with each other before the detection is finished. And we should be able to get all 4 done relatively quickly and cheaply. We should... Ooh, look at that view. Now that we're in the day section of Mars, you can see the beauty of the red planet much clearer. If we quickly disconnect, and 2 more at Victoria Crater. Oop, it's a daisy. Probe basic, don't accidentally launch another launcher. The lander, those are quite expensive, and we are working on a limited budget. Weather warning, huh? Oh, Gale Crater has a scale of 7.53 hours. Let's get rid of all this junk notification. Gale Crater at present. New wiki entries. Now, in the original space race between the USSR and the United States during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, after the moon had been conquered. That's interesting. This probe didn't seem to make it to the right location. Weather has prevented that. Wait. Where the heck is this one? Well, that's an interesting one. It appears to have gone. It's landed near the fourth and final search zone, but appears to have crashed. We've lost contact with that probe. So we'll shut that one down and launch a new probe to that first marker, and this time make follow this one just to make sure. Now, back to what I was saying with the original. After the moon had been conquered, the USSR and the US decided to visit other worlds, and went in completely opposite directions. The USSR went to Venus, while the US looked towards Mars. Now, both for a long time were thought to contain life. Venus they thought was just a very cloudy Earth, given its similar size to the Earth. And Mars, there had been no sightings of what appeared to be canals, all running all across the Martian surface. And Mars has also stereotypically been designated for all life outside of Earth for a long time. So the Russians went to Venus and they discovered, interesting, oh no, I did it again, launched a lander, but what they found wasn't the ocean-covered surface such as Earth with a whole lot of cloud cover. They discovered something far more nightmarish with it, acidic rain, high pressure and high temperature cloud structure with intense lightning storms and surface temperature that melted all their probes after short amounts of time. Now, I hope I haven't got this on. There appears to be a glitch here. Okay. Disconnect. Might have to shut that probe down. But, yes, and all probes sent to Venus were eventually lost. Though they did get some very beautiful pictures of the desolate, not molten surface, still rock. But the vehicles were all lost, so any hope of finding life on Venus were dashed. But Mars was still a hope. You could see the surface of Mars. It didn't appear to be too harsh for life to exist when observed through telescopes. But when the first probes landed on Mars, all they found was a barren, rocky world. There was an error with the first color pictures to come from Mars, where they overcorrected and it appeared that the Martian surface wasn't very desolate and had a very nice blue-colored sky. This built up so much hope for finding life on the planet. But sadly, once the error was discovered and fixed, the pictures looked no good at all. Now, however, it is still a possibility, hopefully, one day in the future. Yes, this part of my place is glitchy. Disconnect. I'm gonna disconnect. For future colonization of Mars, as the climate, while the atmosphere is far too thin and has the wrong combination of elements to support human life, habitats could be formed on Mars with insulated atmospheres, though the low gravity would hinder a lot of human development as we know it, as muscle mass will decrease with a prolonged exposure to lower than 1 Earth gravity environments, which is a health risk for anyone who travels into space. The loss of muscle mass, spending extended periods of time in a zero-G environment. While Mars doesn't have a zero-G environment, its gravity is much lower than Earth's, and it appears this part of Victoria Crater is a bit broken, so I guess we'll stick with moving to Lyot Crater. I just launched a lander, I believe. And eventually, well, they have added in the last few major updates for Take on Mars the ability to run a colony on Mars, including management of resources and whatnot, which also has a multiplayer feature that I may show off at some point. However, I would still recommend getting this game for any Martian enthusiasts or exploration enthusiasts out there. Another hazard, of course, on Mars is due to its relatively low magnetic field. Solar radiation would prove very damaging to not only humans and life, but to all manner of equipment on board, on the landers, on probes, on buildings, due to solar radiation, which is a big concern for satellite designers around the Earth, where they're not protected by the Earth's atmosphere and by the Earth's magnetic field as much. Here we go. At least, by the looks of it, this should land safely rather than fall through the Martian surface and towards the abyss apparent that is rendered below the game, which of course does not render the realistic underground terrain of Mars. Well, I will just disconnect and fast forward about an hour, so we'll get our final piece of technology so we can set up environmental analysis probes. So time by an hour. Magically, all the Christmas decorations in the center disappear while we fast forward time. Boom. We're ahead, and I believe, yes, we have completed all the required missions for mapping the terrain. Good. Good. At the crater. Ah, science mission. Hang on, let's connect to the vehicle and have a look-see at what we can get our second lander to do. Okay, it still hasn't landed, so speeding up time does not speed up this process. Fortunately, it didn't seem to waste any fuel on that. So what is our mission? All tasks of scientific value must be carried out. No mission signed. Okay, so there's Kaiser Crater has a weather warning, as does Gale Crater. Assign nearest. Unassign that mission because that appears to be out. This is a lander, not a rover, and such can't move. Oh, what's the name? Tally. Let's have a look, see if we can assign it to any more. If there's any missions we can assign in Lyot Crater. No. But we can modify our future landers with an environmental analysis probe. Once we get through the clean, we should be able to find that out. Well, not find out. Let's find out if we can fit it on our small rover, small lander, or whether we need to design a new lander. We modify... Yes, last edited. Now, yes, we've got all the requirements. No, we don't want a low gain. We want... can we still not build it? Oh, I want to switch to add. Sort of be important to be able to add rather than just look at what we have. Huh. Basic images. I'll just quickly go back. Have to have a look-see at our tech tree again. Oh, we're still missing something. What did I miss? Oh. Hadn't finished, it was 2 hours. My fault. Let's skip time, because we are all out of time, but I think it would be beneficial for us to have this lander ready for the next episode, which will be coming out next week. Hopefully. Let's see, load existing vehicle. Last edited. Add an environmental analysis station. Yep. So each of these landers costs 397k. Save as. Humility. I think that's what I named it previously. But there we go. Exit construction. Let's return and see if we can launch this. We can do any missions with this. Aha! Ah, but what about Gale Crater? Oh, plenty of missions here. It'd be nice if it actually said what the missions were, but we will launch the lander to Gale Crater. And as our lander plummets towards the Martian surface for our first true mission to the our red neighbor, I've been the Smithy 99999. This has been Take on Mars. Goodbye. Create our first lander. Pretty simple design. Now, we want to make sure we have a cycloramic wide angle camera, which is usually useful